Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Building Up. I'm your host, Luke Woolsey, and today we're going to be talking about business development. We have joining us today Sarah Brizendine. Welcome in.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good to have you here again.
Thank you.
And so we're going to just talk about our experience with business and business development and just kind of what that's looked like over the years and the different things we've learned along the way. So why don't we just start out with just kind of your first experience getting into the workforce or background in business?
Yeah, so right out of high school, I got my cosmetology license. I actually left high school early. I did not finish high school. I got my high school proficiency certificate. Went to cosmetology school and just started working straight away from there. Just the haircut store, nothing special. And I was just kind of like, I'm going to just work for somebody else, be commission. And at that time, I was only 18, 19 years old. So just kind of starting out in the world. But after working at the haircut store for a little while, I knew I wanted to elevate my, salon experience and clientele experience. So I went to work for Dick Young at Young Attitudes in La Jolla. And it was an Aveda concept salon, which was super cool and desirable for me to work at. And from there, Dick was a business person who actually just opened up a salon because he wanted to create jobs for people.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
yeah, so he was a businessman first, and it was just kind of a pet project of his. And so I had been there probably for about a year, and he noticed that he was, I think, losing stylists to booth rental. So stylists were leaving to go somewhere else where
So
they had the opportunity.
he wasn't that way to begin with?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all commission based. And so he actually remodeled half of the salon and created a space for booth renters. So I was like, I think I want to be my own boss and run my own show. But, within like this incubator that he had created for stylists. So that was really my first experience at getting, into business, being a small business owner.
Yeah.
So I had to get a license and business insurance.
So you didn't have to get a license to work at the salon before?
No. I mean, I had to have my cosmetology license.
Okay.
So I had to be licensed to do hair. But no, I did not have to have a business license because I was an employee.
Got it.
Yeah. And then I started out as an employee at Young Attitudes. And then, when I went booth rental, I was just
self-employed.
Self-employed.
Small business of one.
Yeah, exactly. I actually don't even remember if I named my business.
How interesting.
I was just like, yeah. So
that's pretty cool though. And did you feel like you were going into business for yourself, or did it have kind of the same feel as before?
It did feel a little bit like going into business for myself. I had more autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because you don't think about all the things that go into doing business yourself. You have to do all of your ordering. You have to do all of your inventory. You have to think ahead, plan ahead. And then it affects you more if your schedule's not filled up.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more of a risk to be out on your own like that. And so, it changed my way of thinking, but I definitely, it changed my way of thinking after instead of before, which I would definitely recommend, like thinking of it before embarking on something.
Yeah, because, how do you get your clientele? Is it just word of mouth, or did you start thinking marketing, or?
It was word of mouth. So Dick was really into marketing. So the salon was right by UCSD. So he did a lot of back then it was coupons, a little bit before the internet. Word of mouth, coupons, referrals. And I think by then I had a pretty solid clientele base. And a lot of the ladies that I did their hair, I also cut their husbands or significant others' hair as well. So that helped. And
Well, it's kind of jumping in So an industry you already know, but a different structure being a business.
Mm-hmm.
And did that change some of the accounting and taxes for you too? Or
It did.
yeah,
Yeah, I had to do a lot more accounting, budgeting, putting away savings for taxes because it's a self-employment tax.
yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't just be like, "Woo, money."
Were you aware of those things before you made the change?
Yes, because Dick was actually a really good business mentor.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to set people up for success. And so, yeah, he did help us out with that.
So he's really where you got your first exposure to setting up a small business.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting that he offered that level of support too, to be able to kind of advise and say, hey, now that you're switching to this configuration, it's going to come with these other entanglements or, other things that you have to consider.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that, would just say, hey, you can rent a booth
Mm-hmm.
and not really connect you with the implications of doing that.
Yeah. I think he was a really good businessman in the sense, well, he was successful, I think, in his other endeavors, but he saw a need that he had. The need was he was losing stylists
Yeah.
and he needed to have retention because hiring is expensive. And he saw a need for these stylists who wanted to elevate their business and have a little bit more autonomy and
Yeah.
growth orientation. So he saw that. So it scratched everybody's back, and I thought that was really cool.
That is cool. So you're in that industry for a time. What other industries have you been around in business? Just kind of other work experience as you've gone forward and what that looks like in all of your travels and
Well, I think I got exposed to other industries. I had to switch careers because I married. I got married, and at the time, that person joined the military, and so every 3 years, I was having to move and start building a clientele again, and then leave that clientele behind. And I guess side note, I had started going to college. I had started doing hair, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm really interested in business, or actually, maybe I'm interested in being a meteorologist. I don't even know why I thought that, but I guess I'm really into weather. And so I started going to San Diego State. Well,
Okay.
first I started at Mesa College and then went to San Diego State, and then I moved. So kept pursuing my education, but I was kind of at the mercy of whatever the school had, I guess, to offer in the sense of majors. So I went from atmospheric science to environmental science, and then I couldn't pass calculus. I couldn't do it. And then physics kind of didn't make that much sense to me. So I'm like, I mean, it does, but it doesn't, like,
right.
at a higher level. So I was just like, I think I'm not cut out. So I was continuing to do hair throughout this early period. And
Yeah, I never really thought about that. I kind of always pictured it would be a great thing to be mobile with, but you have to build a clientele.
yeah, and I think if I was working at like, a Great Clips or a haircut store or Supercuts, it doesn't matter, right? It's just like they already have like the clients
And are
there.
those booth rent or you're just getting their clients?
You're just getting their clients, but I mean, it's a turn and burn.
Mhm.
It's hard. It's not, I was more like a color specialist, and so my clientele was different than that type of salon.
It's interesting, even within the hair and salon industry, there's different levels of like quality and involvement and skill set and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I never would have thought like marketing and advertising and all of that would come into play.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as soon as you move and you lose your clientele, that probably took years to build up.
Yeah, it would take years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's different tiers in the salon industry, or I guess like the beauty industry and as a whole. So, yeah, and what I was good at was more of a high touch, tailored client experience, more of a specialized
Yeah.
hairstylist than just like, okay, just a quick shop, you know,
Right.
in and out kind of deal. So, yeah, so I moved to Virginia. I was going to Virginia Commonwealth University. I had landed on urban studies and geography. I was like, that sounds cool. I like cities and places. And so it was really interesting. And it was still going to be a bachelor's in science. So all my science classes weren't for nothing. And after I got my degree, 8 years later,
Wow.
yeah, I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to switch careers. And my first job was when I moved to Baltimore and I worked for the Baltimore Housing Authority.
Wow.
And I had no idea what I was in for.
So what does that look like? So it's a completely different, it's a departure totally from what you were doing,
Total departure.
but it's in line with your degree.
Yep.
Is that kind of low income housing? Is
It
it
is low
public
income
housing?
housing. It's public housing. It's the projects. And so so they have different, I guess, like areas throughout Baltimore. Like they have the projects, they have senior housing, they have disability housing. And then they had, at the time where I first ended up, was rehabilitated housing.
Mhm.
So what Baltimore was doing at the time was going throughout the city and placing lower income people in different neighborhoods so they weren't just in like a low income pocket. It was giving people more opportunity to be in other areas, different school districts. And so they weren't like, I guess, marginalized by their location
I see.
or like, you know,
Yeah.
so it
They
gave them
don't-
more opportunity.
Right. They're not just stuck in the bad part of town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a little bit more dispersed.
Mhm.
Not everybody was a fan of that, but that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. And then I got a promotion and ended up working in the projects, and that was really hard.
Yeah.
I was just definitely a fish out of water, but I mean, I feel like I came away being a strong black lady inside.
You got exposed to a lot.
I did. I saw a lot. I experienced a lot, and just, yeah, I grew a ton.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like looking at kind of community development, right?
Mhm.
And how you can use that. Did you end up continuing to expand on that experience?
Yeah, so I guess why I got into like the housing sector is like that just always interested me and like the socioeconomics of housing and so that's I guess I started there. And then from there, let's see. Then I moved completely across country and to Fort Huachuca, which is out in the middle of nowhere. And I started working for military housing. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, at
So
that
still
time,
housing,
yeah,
but
still housing,
and still for the government.
and yeah, well, actually, no, they had just started to privatize it,
Oh, interesting.
and so privatizing, yeah, it had just actually, it was a new era of military housing. Private companies were taking over the management, and so yeah, I started working in that. Did that for a couple years, and yeah, so I went into this like phase in my life where I felt like I was just at the mercy of whatever job or opportunity was available to me at the time. So I really didn't like desire to work for housing or military housing, but it was a good fit, I
Yeah.
think, after coming from Baltimore housing.
Carrying that experience with you.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
building my resume.
Yeah. And do you feel like it's preparing you in a different way for business? I mean, you kind of went from being a small, kind of a single person, small business.
Mhm.
You get to see kind of a larger animal that is the, government housing and then military housing. And it's in line with your degree and it's building your experience.
Mhm.
Are you thinking at all at this point of like how to use it in a private setting, or does that come later?
It came later. So again, I like the next time I moved was to Kansas. And I was like, I think I want to try the private sector. I've done bureaucracy. It's not for me. I've done the military side of housing. I actually really enjoyed it. But I was like, I'm going to try the private sector.
Yeah.
And so, uh, yeah, jumped into that, and it was in Manhattan, Kansas, and it was a lot of rentals for college students. They just happened to be the clientele for that type of housing,
Yeah.
and it was nuts.
I
Like
bet.
it just turns were a lot faster. The turnover was a lot faster. So, like, I think I started gathering those like skills and like um, I guess methods. Like, oh, okay, turn used to be uh, a week. Okay, now turn has to be 3 days. So I think at that point I started seeing more and more how systems and processes were so important in making things possible, whether it was a week or whether it was 3 days. So I think that's when I started becoming more systems oriented
Yeah.
and started going into my I really like operations
Yeah.
and
And are you kind of project managing at this point too, like doing the move in, move outs, like so you're having to work with subs, or is that not yet?
yeah. So I was a property manager, and so I was working with subs, and the company I worked for at the time, they had an in-house construction company, so they did a lot. They self-performed a lot of the turns, so to speak. But we did have subs like,
Yeah.
cleaners and painters. And so, yeah, I was coordinating that and then overseeing the maintenance department, which was one guy, but I was still overseeing him.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and yeah, so that's, I think, really when, more management oversight it was becoming part of my repertoire.
Yeah. No, I remember that season and just kind of your starting to get exposure to project management or property management and kind of doing some of those lighter projects. And it seemed like a lot of the business systems were what was kind of the weak point and starting to be taxed. And
Mm-hmm.
did you have an opportunity uh, in Kansas to continue in that, but not so much in the housing
Mm-hmm.
realm, or was that with the same company, or is that a?
No, so I had been with the residential property management company for about 3 years, and I was starting to outgrow it a little bit, and just it wasn't it wasn't a good environment for me anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and so I actually met a lady at CrossFit, and she was HR, the HR department head over at Civic Plus for a local computer company, or uh, I guess, yeah, a tech company in Manhattan, Kansas. And so she actually had recruited me for this property manager position with a commercial property management company.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
I'll interview. And so I did, and I got offered the job, and it was only like $1,000 in pay more.
Mm.
So it wasn't like this huge incentive to move.
Right.
And I was in a place in my life where I'm like, I didn't like where I was at, but I knew I was familiar with the devil I was dealing with.
Yeah.
And so I was actually going to turn it down. I was like, I'm very loyal to this company. I don't think I'm going to do it. And I think God knew I needed to make a change. And I think that day, the owner and my maintenance department kind of threw me under the bus,
Oh yeah.
so to speak. They were friends outside of work, and so it was really convoluted, and there's a lot of complications in that dynamic
Mm-hmm.
of the relationship, trying to manage my subordinate that was friends with the owner.
Yeah.
And so they would all it was, yeah, I was over that.
That's a mess.
It was a mess. So yeah, after that I was like, thank you for the clarity, God, because I'm out.
Yeah.
And it was the best decision I ever made. So that I look back at that fork in the road, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I hadn't taken that path,
Yeah.
I would have
Well,
kicked myself.
Yeah. Business can be pretty messy because of the relationships, right?
Yeah.
And I think, that to me has popped up in other businesses too, where you see it's like you think things are going great, and then there can be something like that that happens
Mm-hmm.
that's not necessarily business, but it affects the business.
Mm-hmm.
And in your case, I mean, it helped you make a decision to make this move, which proved to be a really good one for you, or
Oh yeah, the best, because I got to work for Ward Morgan, and he owned Civic Plus, and then Icon Investments was like his his side project, pet project,
mm-hmm.
because he wanted to, one, make Manhattan, Kansas like um, a better place to live, a better place to work, and he wanted to have these amenities for people that worked at Civic Plus. So it's like you're trying to recruit people to work at your tech company. You're like, come move to small Midwest town Manhattan, and then there's nothing to do. so, so it's like, if you make places for people to come, they will, and they'll want to move there. They'll want to work there, and
So he developed a lot of different businesses,
tons. Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
got to be there and actually do a lot of that for him and with him.
Yeah. I was really fortunate to, work for him, and, whatever he wanted to have happen, I tried to make it happen. And he mentored me through a lot of how to create businesses, make systems and processes work better.
Yeah.
He really invested in me, gave me executive coaching. He himself gave me executive coaching. And so he was a tough guy to work for,
Mm-hmm.
but also just a very essential part of like who I am today. I
Yeah.
learned. It was like my MBA. My first MBA was working for
Yeah.
Ward Morgan.
Give us some examples of some of the various businesses you got to start with him.
So I actually, just give you a little bit of background. I started as a property manager,
Mm-hmm.
and then the business development manager, she moved away. And so I kind of took her place. And then I guess I just started growing my role there. And so, he would give me more and more responsibility. And then my executive coach was basically like, become and work and act like the role you want to be. So I was like, well, I want to be a chief operating officer. So here's what they do, and this is what I need to get done. So that was just basically my roadmap
Mm-hmm.
for promoting myself. And so at first it was just like managing commercial properties, turns and marketing. That's actually my first, I think, real marketing exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just, he was open up a speakeasy, because what he was doing is buying a lot of buildings in the historic downtown area, rehabbing them, and then renting them out to businesses. But if there wasn't a business to occupy the space, he would just create one. He's like, well, let's put a restaurant in here. Let's put a tap house. Let's put a speakeasy. Let's,
An escape room.
Yeah, that wasn't his, but that was one of our tenants.
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah,
The speakeasy and the tap room and
the tap house. Those were Icon Restaurants businesses.
so you got to help.
Or actually, they were their own separate businesses. And then Icon Restaurants was created to be more of like an employee leasing and service. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you got to help establish those.
Yeah. And then I think my most fun project was opening up a car museum. All of a sudden, I get like this email or text or something like, "Hey, I just bought like all these cars at a car show, and they're going to show up. I need you to figure out some storage." I was like, "What kind of cars?"
Wow.
It's like, yeah, Ford GT showed up, and I got to drive it. He's like, "Yeah, just take it down to the storage area," and I was like, "Okay." And then I found out it was like a $500,000 car. I was like, I shouldn't have driven it like that. So,
Drive it like it's stolen.
yeah, I drove it like it's stolen. No. So that was fun because that was a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no experience in starting a nonprofit. We also had a beer wall. So I actually think it's the first self-serve alcohol and wine, or beer and wine, in Kansas.
And this is in the
In
car
the museum.
museum?
Yeah, this is in the
Interesting.
museum. So you could get a beer, walk around the car museum. And so yeah, I got to, figure out liquor licenses and starting another LLC and figuring out the nonprofit side and
And
hire
again,
people to support all that effort.
right. And managing the overhaul of the space that you
Mhm.
had to go and secure for the museum, right?
Yep. Yeah. So that was the property of Icon Investments, and it was a huge renovation. So
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely started overseeing a lot of renovation projects. So Icon always hired a construction company to take care of the projects, but you oversee the overseer, right? In a
Mhm.
way, you always have to manage
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I remember during that car museum project that there was a big storm.
it flooded.
It flooded.
It flooded 3 months before it was supposed to open.
Oh my word.
Yeah, that was devastating. I was at adult summer camp, and
Adult summer camp.
yeah, I went to adult summer camp in Colorado and drove back that next day, and there was 4 feet of water in the museum. Luckily, none of the cars were there,
Mhm.
so that was a blessing. But it was just about done,
Yeah.
and everything had to be redone.
That was a large facility too, right?
Over 50,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an old grocery store.
Yeah. Pretty good size.
Yeah, and it was a strip mall. That whole strip mall flooded. It was like a freak flood,
Mhm.
100-year storm, and there's like a river, a river behind it, and it flooded.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so,
Crazy. And
or
did you
creek.
guys still open on time or
No,
no?
it was April 12th, I think, to be exact, when it was opened, and so it flooded actually Labor Day.
Yeah.
The prior year, so it took about 7 months
Oh my word.
because it was like starting over.
Yeah.
You have to cut out all the drywall. It ruined all of the transformers because it was a grocery store, so they have a different way of, I guess, routing electricity because you have all these huge refrigerators, and
right.
so the building had its own transformer.
Oh my goodness.
So it was nuts.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
But
Pretty cool experience that you got to have out there in Kansas, but you didn't get to stay there.
no, so I actually, I took a gap year of being married. That's what I like to call it. I lost 180 pounds, and then I was single for a while. I was like, I owned a house. I had my
That 180 pounds had a name. But,
Yeah.
Okay, just to be clear.
yeah
Not,
ex
yeah.
ex-husband, and so I stayed in Kansas. So I knew I wasn't gonna stay there forever. I mean, I loved working for Ward. I loved my career. It was my dream job. I loved my house.
Yeah,
But it
didn't
wasn't-
you end up getting promoted to your dream job
I
there?
did. I actually made it to chief operating officer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you were really entrenched in his business and all the workings of the various properties and all the different businesses that he leased to and created to fill these spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're thinking you're going to have to make a move.
Yeah. Well, not quite yet, because
Okay.
I knew I loved it there, but it's not a place to be single when you're 40.
Mm-hmm.
It's a college town,
Yeah.
so either everybody's married or retiring, or they're 21, and I'm
Not going there.
yeah, it's too young for me. So, yeah, I was actually kicking around the idea of moving to Seattle, be near my sister, or possibly come back to San Diego, but yeah, I was just kind of waiting that out. Nothing had really presented itself, and
Mm-hmm.
and then and again, I wasn't gonna marry another military guy. I was like, I'm done.
Right. You've been moving so much.
I've been moving, which I really enjoyed. I
Hmm.
love moving. It's pretty cool to go live in states and towns that you never thought you would live in.
Yeah. How many times have you moved?
I think I don't know, like 8, 10 times,
Yeah.
8 or 10.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Quite a bit.
a lot,
Yeah.
more than the average bear.
Yeah.
So I went on a bike ride, and my future husband showed up to that bike ride.
Dang it.
I know. It's like, but I didn't know he was going to be my future husband. And,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you better not have a crappy bike. And he didn't. And I was like, okay, you can ride with me. And yeah, so the rest is kind of history. And I knew, like, as we were starting to progress in our relationship, like, I'm either going to hitch my wagon to him, or I'm going to stay here and just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Continue to be
Yeah.
the COO.
Yeah. Just, I guess, yeah, have a guy in Seattle or something.
Yeah.
Just fly back every once in a while. So
Nice.
yeah. So, yep. So early 2020 is Wes, my husband. We got married in December of 19, and then it was a whirlwind romance. But we knew
And he is military.
he is military. Yeah, he's a badass tanker.
Mm-hmm.
And this time around, I know this is a side note, probably nobody cares, but I just wanted like a super manly man, and, one who knew how to kill shit and, hunt and provide food and,
Yeah.
physical. And, he was the total package. So,
Yeah.
I was smitten. And then I'm definitely was made for him as well. He loves, like, we both love adventure and traveling, and
Right.
so it was a good fit. So I knew, I was like, I'm going to have to give this up. I choose my husband. I choose
Yeah.
this relationship over that. And I knew that my skill set that I had been, all the things that had been poured into me and all the things that I had learned, I knew I was going to take that with me to wherever I went.
Right.
And so, we ended up moving to Colorado, and then COVID happened. And I think that changed the trajectory of my career path again, because I wasn't willing to go work in an office with a mask on, or, get a shot
Mm-hmm.
to have a job.
Right.
If you tell me I need to have something like that, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So
Yeah. Resist.
I'm a little punk rock inside, I suppose. But
Yeah. Totally. So what do
Yeah.
you choose to do instead from there?
So I actually had the opportunity to get my MBA.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I'm going to go back to school.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the time. Like, we were financially okay with just living on one income, which we did live like super in our means, frugal. And Wes actually re-enlisted to gift me his GI Bill. So that's how I was able to swing that. And I
Wow.
went to Colorado State University and went full time for 2.5 years and got my master's.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you got the business bug, and now you played the role, and now you have the education to
Mhm.
go along with it. How was that, having experienced so much business and then going to business school?
It was like, it's like the life of hard knocks. It's like you learn on the job,
Right.
and then you learn the book side of the job. So that's what I felt like with.
Yeah.
I think the MBA gave me a lot of tools for, like, I guess, managing, extrapolating, and storing information.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me a different way to look at things too. It's basically just like expanding on the foundation that I had already had.
So do you think you would do it in that same order, or do you think it would be different if you had gone to school first and then had all this business experience?
I think I wouldn't do it differently. I think having the life experience and the business experience that led up to wanting to pursue more education
Yeah.
was what was good for me. I
Okay.
think I'm a real hands-on learner, get into the weeds of things. Like, I know as a business leader, you're not supposed to like get lost in the weeds, but I feel like being in the weeds at times is good because you have like a little bit of an understanding of what each department or what it takes to be in each department
Yeah.
or I guess level. And so I could take that with me and like help improve it. So
Sure.
it's just the trick is just getting out of the weeds, not staying there, like making sure you still are.
Well, that's the development side. You can
Yeah.
develop it,
Yeah.
but the goal is once you've developed that to train somebody else and get them in that position so that you can continue to develop, not just get stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I get what you're saying. The hands-on, I would almost view it as like having context before you went to school
Mm-hmm.
maybe helped it resonate a little more. Sometimes what I hear from people coming out of business school, and they really know nothing about business.
Mm-hmm.
It's all book knowledge, and they don't know the practical side of it, and so I actually thought it was kind of cool that you had all of this business experience and then backfilled that, and it did give you more tools, and that's a big part of what you bring here too, is like being able to say, hey, I've been a part of all these different industries, I've helped manage and start and grow businesses, but I also have kind of this context of the education piece of it. So how much has research played a role in your experience with business? Because I know you're a big researcher.
Yeah. It's played a huge role because I think research, one, what is the need? Like, is this business even a need, or is this idea or concept or marketing approach? Like, do people even need this? And yeah, so you got to know your audience.
Yeah.
And then know if it's feasible or not, and then know what people want. Because if you're detached, you're not going to be able to reach who you want to reach to, use your business.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I like researching, definitely. I'm, yeah, I like that part.
Yeah. Well, it
I'm a
seems like
lifelong learner.
yeah, it seems like such a valuable curiosity to have, to
Yeah.
to constantly be going back and not just like parking it on something, but like digging deeper and going, okay, how can we tweak this? And I feel like your research is always, it is some of the same questions, but it's always going back and double checking the research. I feel like it does foster that curiosity, fosters growth. And it's interesting in business. Like for me, I thought starting a business just meant like, you get a license and you just start doing what you're already doing. But I really didn't have the context of business being the larger picture. It was always the technician part, the technical part.
You're like, I could do this.
Therefore,
I could do this on my own.
Yes.
Not like, I could do this better and differentiate and be more remarkable so people will want to use me over XYZ.
Yeah. When I started my business, and I looking back, it's like, I guess I've been a serial entrepreneur, because I think the first business I started, every kid has their lemonade stand or sells brownies, or I don't know what.
I hated selling chocolate bars.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm definitely not going in business. I would eat them. I
Right.
mean, I was good at consuming business stuff.
I think I was like, I don't know, 10 or 12 years old, and I was really into rollerblading.
I remember.
And there was a lot of little kids in our neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And they all thought, oh, he's such a great rollerblader. So they would model what gear they got after mine. And, so they would see me working on my rollerblades and ask me to help them.
Did you sell a service?
So I started a rollerblade repair shop
Oh my goodness.
in the
I
neighbor's
did not know
garage.
that.
And I would charge people for my old bearings and my my old wheels, or I would charge them to rotate theirs or lubricate
You
them.
rotate rollerblade wheels?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
They get that because you're pushing out, you know.
Oh, yeah.
They wear on the inside, so you
yeah.
got to rotate them, get more.
Like, is this 2,000 miles? It's time.
Yeah, exactly. So I just remember thinking, hey, I'm good at this. I had everybody in the neighborhood wanted to model after what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't a lot of money, but you know, I could charge. It was a source of income for sure, at least for a couple summers, where, you know, I mean, it was year round, but it was like when the kids were all home skating, I'd get a lot more business. And I remember it's how I saved up for a brand new pair of rollerblades, and it's how I paid for all my gear, and I just kept spending it all.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't invest and develop that business, but I really enjoyed that fact that I was like, oh my gosh, I can offer a service that I'm really good at, and that it's actually kind of fun for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I can have, you know, 20 kids paying me $5 a wheel rotation or whatever it was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like,
Did you come up with invoices and stuff, or
oh, it was
did you
cash.
it's cash.
Cash right there on the spot.
Yeah.
But it's funny because even after that kind of tapered off, I started a tree trimming business
I remember that.
with a buddy of mine.
Did you have to get business insurance?
See, that's the thing is I was young and I just thought, oh, if people hire you, you're a business.
Yeah, you get the tools.
Yeah.
You put your flyers on windshields.
Again,
Yeah.
just doing.
How did you market yourself?
Yeah, that one was interesting. We actually we did hand out flyers, which then I got the post office telling me you can't put flyers on people's mailbox, which I didn't know.
Oh.
I think I was 15 when we first started doing this, and we did it for a couple years. So
Okay.
ultimately, we ended up buying a truck, a bunch of chainsaws, but we were doing all the work ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the Penny Saver. We put some ads in the Penny Saver.
Really?
But our main source of business was literally going door to door,
Okay.
which is not my favorite thing, but it's like I knew I wanted to make some money,
Mm-hmm.
and I did like the feel of the sale. You know, it's like, oh, we got one.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that opened my eyes to the importance of marketing, but I couldn't perform the job while getting jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and it also introduced me to estimating.
Oh, really?
You know, it's like
Because you had to look at.
every job was different. You know, with the rollerblade shop, I had a price list.
Oh.
And it was like, it's old stuff anyways, and it's just my time, and I'm just a little kid. So I'm not estimating. I'm just going, how much money do I want? And what are the kids willing to pay? But this was
Did
actually...
you raise your prices when more came? Like, when demand increased, did you like, oh,
I don't remember. I don't
Or
think I was
not, you weren't
that
that advanced
sophisticated yet. Probably should have. But
Yeah.
the estimating side was what was kind of cool about the tree trimming business, and just understanding the overhead of it, like
Mhm.
getting into all that was involved. Like, hey, we've got transportation costs, we've got this truck we're insuring, we've got fuel. You know, I mean, I think we bought the truck when I was 17, and we did at that point get a fictitious name and a business license, and we were going legit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you start to realize there's a lot more to business than just getting out there and doing it.
Yeah.
But I do feel like that there's always that pull to business.
Mm-hmm.
And in the construction industry, I mean, a lot of people do side work, and they kind of know what it's like to market themselves
Mm-hmm.
and put a rough value to the job. But I think what ends up missing is the strategy part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The continuing to develop your systems.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, communication becomes a huge thing. Storage of all of your, efficiency.
Like it just, yeah.
Well, and scaling.
Yep. Yep.
the vast majority of small businesses out there are one-man shows.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not thinking about scaling. They're probably just trying to keep their head above water.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of what it took me a long time with, focusing on trying to keep my head above water and growing a business was really, really a challenge, because you have the immediate need of like, I just need to go out and do the next job so I can bill it.
Mm-hmm.
But also I need to not be in this boat a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I doing to develop systems while I'm in stride?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can make your business grow slower because you're doing it.
It's like more methodical, though. Like
Yeah, it might be. Kind of like you were saying, you're going to take your lumps along the
Mhm.
way. And so your lessons learned are reinforced by a little bit of pain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a lesson in a book or a theory or whatever. You're actually experiencing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that part was cool, but I also feel like it probably took me twice as long.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I had gone to business school beforehand. Not that I've gone now. I've been running my business for 18 years.
I think honorary degree. I give you an honorary degree.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your MBA, PhD.
Yeah. I mean, managing 15 to 20 employees and, doing the volume that we are doing and achieving, kind of the size. It's been through other executive coaches and mentors, and also just meeting with other business leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of exchanging of ideas, even among people that have the education and kind of that background, but have still not accomplished it.
Mm-hmm.
There's just always that. There's no replacement for a real life experience.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was a wake up call, because the first 5 years of Woolsey Construction, I just treated it like a job.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like I was in business. Just felt like I was doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but for myself,
Yeah.
which I think is a trap for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that, how that would be a trap. So the way that you see business development now versus how you saw it then, like, what's the difference? Is it like it was more like about you, and now it's more about like this growing living organism of a business?
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that I value resources of reference points and input more than when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like a hybrid. I think the first 5 years, I was just in survival mode, so I didn't seek counsel and I didn't look for input.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as I grow, I'm constantly looking for who's been there and done that
Mm-hmm.
before me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go talk to them. Let me go hear how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the guys you talk to that are really successful guys, a lot of them did the same thing. They just rammed their head against the wall enough times until it broke.
Mm-hmm.
They broke through. But a lot of them had somebody or multiple people give them guidance and pointers along the way, and now they're kind of doing the same.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's a lot of resources that they may have even fallen on deaf ears if I tapped into them back when I was 27 years old. But
Mm-hmm.
the SBA, they have a lot of information on their website of how to help formulate your business plan, how to get started on the right foot.
Mm-hmm.
They have some resources of people that you can even talk to, and I think, had I done that to begin with, maybe again, it would have been like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about and you don't listen. But
Mm-hmm.
I do think if people are thinking about starting a small business, doing it intentionally is so critical. Like, just winging it doesn't feel good, and you're already at a disadvantage as a small business. I mean,
Yeah.
20 to 25% of them fail in the first year.
Wow.
50% of them fail in the first 5 years.
Yeah, I could see that.
by the time you hit 10 years, it's over 60%.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's like,
Wow, that's a lot.
yeah, if you want a fighting chance, you have to think about developing the business first and not just going out and owning a job. You want to own a business.
Yeah. Well, that actually, my MBA helped me with that. Like that was actually like our thesis at the end was creating a business plan.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
had to work with a team and we created a business, and it was kind of cool because I got to be the team leader, the team captain. And it was my business idea, and it was actually starting a property management company. It's something that I knew well, but like to really think through it on my end, and make it remarkable and different from what I had done before.
Yeah.
And that business plan actually turned into a real business. I actually opened a business,
Yeah.
not with my classmates, but
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it was very well thought out, and it made sense.
Yeah.
So
That's really cool because I think the business plan side, everybody had told me to do that. You got to get a business plan. You got to do all this. And I'm going, what do you mean business plan? I'm just going to go build houses for people.
yeah,
That's my plan.
I think people think like, oh, well, that's what you just like write up really quick to give the bank. So they give you money.
Right.
And it is, but it really makes you think through everything.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you have to be realistic with yourself is like, is this feasible? Can you really make money?
Right.
Because you have to really do the numbers and the research.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is I did none of that, and I
Yeah.
honestly, like that's partly why I wanted to talk about this is
Yeah.
because I think if there's people out there that are new in business or that are thinking about starting a small business, it's not always all it's cracked up to be if you're not prepared. It can be a double-edged sword. It could either be really rewarding or it can, kind of suck the life out of you. And I think one of the ways to set yourself up for success is to consider, I never thought I would have to get into the legal aspect as much as I have, the financial aspect, the marketing. I thought I'm just going to build people.
Build and they will come.
Yeah, just build
Yeah.
and then just the support systems that you start to realize that you need. And partly, you got to find out if what you have works. So get out there and make some money and then backfill some of these systems because you don't want to, unless you're going to start out with a huge small business loan.
Yeah, which you don't want to.
Which, it's a way to go.
Yeah.
But it can be also kind of shackles on you when you first start and you're playing from behind already.
Yep.
But, so part of it is, just get out there and see if what you have works. But I think, if you have a plan, you should be able to identify your target audience. Is there need? What problem are you solving? And then I would look at how are you going to scale it? Is it scalable?
Yeah. Yeah. Mine. So we have our property management company, and we just have slowly started buying houses and leasing them out. Luckily, the military helps us move often. So we're able to buy a house, live in it. I get to, do my little fixer-uppers on it, and then we move, lease it out. So it's interesting to, I guess we're scaling it that way, and now it's becoming a national business because that's the nature of our lives right now.
Right.
So, yeah, and the logistics of managing something cross-country
multiple
is
properties.
is the next challenge.
In multiple states.
Multiple states, yeah.
That can be tricky.
Yeah, it is going to be tricky.
So that's the thing is like as you map that out, even just with your business, as you kind of say as I map that out to its full conclusion, like, we're 5-10 years down the road, we have 8, 12, whatever properties, and how does that scale then? And what role has that played in like how you determine where you buy properties?
So it has actually, because I would love to have like a 5-acre piece of property with a cool house on it, but actually buying new construction in like a densely populated area. Well, right now we don't live in a very densely populated area, but it's an up and coming
Mm-hmm.
area. And so people are starting to get priced out of towns around
Mm-hmm.
and are willing to drive 25 minutes. So I can see it already. Like this is going to be a good market to get into.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, I think new construction, because one, we always like to buy something and have it ready by the time we move.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's ours, and we can, take that time while it's being built. And then when we show up, it's got the HOA, it's got amenities, people are drawn to those types of neighborhoods and they like to rent there as well. So that's what we did in Colorado as well. So yeah, going to the next place, wherever that is, I'll look for that same, I guess, neighborhood, something that's new construction, something that it's a commutable little town or
Mm-hmm.
good location.
Well, yeah, and then you don't have a bunch of maintenance on it. If
yeah,
you're
it's
buying...
brand new. Exactly. It's under warranty. Well, for a year, but yeah, it's new.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And then people are usually willing to pay a little bit more for new.
Yeah. Yeah. But you have kind of that background and the experience to be able to do that market research, assess the viability of a market and a particular property. I think those are the things that I just point to with business development, talking to a lot of young guys that are thinking about starting their own business and just seeing how disconnected they are from what that actually means.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I want to discourage anybody from doing it. I just would love to see people be more successful. We need small businesses. I mean, small businesses employ almost half of the country's workforce.
Yeah.
So
it's very American.
Yeah.
To have a small business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool. And like I said, it would kind of make the world go round.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to see people be successful. And I just think there's so many people out there not going into it eyes wide open and doing their due diligence and doing the prep work. So I don't know, there's a lot of resources out there, and even going to school first and getting the degree and the understanding of what you're about to get into and knowing how to set it up well and, swing for the fences at that point.
Yeah, for sure. So like starting your business, did you ever have a fear of failure? And if so, I mean, I'm going to assume you're going to say yes, because everybody has a little bit of a fear of failure, but how did you overcome that?
It's scary because you kind of feel like you're out there on a tightrope without a safety net,
Over the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, I kind of compare it to like a little kid climbing up in a tree, and you're having so much fun climbing up the tree, and then you stop and you look down and you go, oh shoot, I'm pretty high up here, and I've had that experience several times at different stages of my business, where you do kind of stop and go, oh, do I know what I'm doing? And I think that's when I've surrounded myself with more support. And that's why I think there's so much value to that, to the resources, to the mentors, to executive coach.
You can't do it on your own.
No.
And people who think I could do it on my own are going to be gravely mistaken.
Yeah, so I've been talked off.
It's like humbling.
Yeah.
You actually have to be like, I need help, or I want input.
It's very humbling.
Let down the pride.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't have ego in it.
Yeah.
I think that's been part of what's been scary too, is like wondering people's opinion if I do fail, and like, oh, I didn't have what it takes and I couldn't hack it, and kind of feeling a little bit like you're an imposter, like I'm not really a business owner, am I? But I think it was Alex or somebody, one of the
Alex Ramosi.
Yeah, it was like there's no imposters. There's just sucking first. You're just not good at it. You're doing it. You're not faking it. You're actually doing it. Or maybe it was his wife. I don't know. But So I kind of have taken some like peace of mind, some like comfort in hearing other businesses and their just chaotic, weaving path to get to where they're at. And they seem like they have it together now. And it's like, well, yeah, but I fumbled my way through too. And then somebody came along and said, hey, let me show you a couple tricks, a couple pointers. And it cleaned up the whole mess. And then you realize, like, at every stage of growth, you're gonna have a new challenge. Like, nothing's gonna stay set forever. There's gonna be some new pain point.
Yeah, like it's okay. Like the ultimate failure is like it's shuttered, right?
Yeah.
But like I guess in business, all right, I'm listening to you talk, like there's going to be many failures all over the place for the life of the business. But those are like the learning moments, and it's not the nail in the coffin.
Right.
It's
So
more
long
of
as
the
you're
like, okay, we got to pivot.
Yeah.
It's time to
chip in a chair, like poker. You're still in the game. You're still you still have a chance.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. When the door's closed, that's when it's like, oh man,
failure.
yeah. I've made a lot of mistakes, but all of them have made us better.
Yeah.
So if they don't take you out, then I think they only. I always say my education was very expensive. Because every time I learn, I could have paid for a degree, or I mean, that's just business. Business, even with the degree. I mean, you kind of have to have a lot of guts to take a shot. Many times in business, I mean, I feel like it's just every so many years you're going, well, I hope this works.
Yeah.
And because you're going for growth, you're going to that next stage, and so you kind of go for broke a handful of times, and sometimes it costs you quite a bit to where, I mean, yeah, I've had some setbacks where I'm like, yeah, I could have paid for a handful of college diplomas and degrees at this point. Or at least I don't know if you don't get to buy them, but I could.
Can you ask for one? Can you call up like San Diego State and be like, I would just, is it possible?
Yeah, is it possible? Can I have one, please?
I would like a decorative piece of paper behind my desk.
Yeah. But I think that each time you have a reference point of a victory, though, it kind of emboldens you to like try again and keep going. And then there's sometimes where you wonder, like, why the heck did I do this?
Yeah.
Even before, whether it's going to work out or fail or not, you're just like, when you're exposed and you're really, really stretching yourself, as a lot of business leaders do. They got to really put themselves out there.
Yeah.
It can be, you feel a little bit raw and a little bit frayed. And so, when those seasons are over, it's almost like you recuperate from them.
But are you a little bit like an adrenaline junkie? Like from all the highs and lows, right?
Well, that's the risk.
Yeah.
Is you start to actually become addicted to intensity.
Yeah.
And the chaos. And I heard one business coach talking about the fact that a lot of entrepreneurs are from kind of chaotic backgrounds. Like,
yeah, you were 3 of 4 kids. That's a chaotic background.
Sure. And so you end up learning a lot of survival techniques, and you end up learning a lot of problem-solving techniques, and it's what uniquely qualifies you to run a business, but it also makes you kind of create your own chaos. And it'd be great if I could eliminate that from my system. I think there's probably a lot of business owners out there that can relate. It's like when things are going great, you're like, okay, how can I shake it up?
Yeah.
That
might be the special sauce, though. That might just be like what makes you better and grow. And
I agree. I think that's what makes businesses continue to grow. Like, at what point is enough? Like, these people grow these monster companies not because they're after the increased revenue and the increased profit and making more money and all that. it's because they know nothing else. They can't help but to continue to create and climb and innovate and tax their system, because without that feeling, there's kind of a sense of like, what am I supposed to do now?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I think in business, you have to avoid seeking that intensity, creating that chaos unintentionally or subconsciously.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, unconsciously.
But it's just, it happens. And I see a lot of business owners do it. And it's like the curse too is like the next new shiny thing. You haven't even completed this business or this project or this expansion or whatever, and you're already going, okay, well, that's boring now.
I'm like that with DIYs.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to put the baseboards back on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you're like, well, all the fun parts are
right.
over.
Yeah, the fireplace I built is done, and the tile, and yeah.
All the pretty parts are in. It looks cool,
Yeah.
but what's next?
Yeah, baseboards, they're not fun.
Yeah. I think business owners are like that. I see it with a lot of guys where they're just they're off to the next thing, and they just like the buzz of starting something new. Mm-hmm. They like the buzz of the unknown, you know, and just kind of that thrill. And so, I mean, I think
there should be an AA for you guys. Like,
yeah,
it's been 30 days since I haven't started a new business.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it can spill into other areas of your life, and then you end up, you know, you get some guys who are, extremists and into extreme sports, or you get people who are into substances, or you know, you're medicating, you're numbing, because you're just like, well, I either need to be doing something or I need to not feel anything.
Yeah.
That's the risk. And so you end up with like burnout.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a way to do it in a sustainable way, oriented way, just being intentional about your plan, having a system in place that you put your system in check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're definitely big about like, how does your system feel about something?
Yeah.
And that
it's really easy to get it out of whack, and then you don't know, is it the business? Is it me? Is it my personal life? Is it my health? What's happening? And then you put too much emphasis and value and meaning on the business, and then you start to take your identity from it, and it's like you can get lost in it, and then you don't know who you are without it. There's just, business is a beautiful thing, but it's a fun playground to learn a lot about yourself and other people. But it also can suck you in. And so, yeah, I think as you're considering it and developing it, just having all these things in place, your plan, your systems to unplug, routine, rhythm of like getting outside of it and just being like, am I doing this because I want to throw myself a curveball, or am I doing this for the health of the company? Because ultimately, if you as the founder of a company or the leader of a company burn out, it hurts so many other people.
Yeah.
It can hurt the clients that you serve, the employees that, are such a huge part of your team, but they can't do it without you. If you go down, the whole system goes down.
Yeah, so you have to really be intentional, because there's a lot of people depending on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest things that's changed or evolved in me in business has been, I used to just really rush into things, or like rush into decisions, or say I knew something and I didn't know it, or not have the full picture and just go.
Yeah.
And I think now I'm very cautious. I look at the whole picture. I do a lot of research, and I'm very intentional about like, what if I do this, what is it going to affect?
Right.
And mine's obviously on a very small scale, but I still think about that. Or even working for you.
Yeah, you play a big
working
part.
for you. I try to think about that. And it's
important because you can't put unnecessary stress on the system. You have to think about the impact. When it's just you, when I first started out, I could make whatever decision I wanted, and it was just me, And usually, it just put me even further underwater. It's like, I'm just going to do more. And then you start working 14, 16-hour days, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
really intense.
Yeah.
And there's a time and a place to do that.
Yep.
But
Seasons for sure.
yeah, I mean, nothing gets started without, some serious effort up front.
Yeah.
But you should have a plan to not get stuck there. And I think that's kind of what happened to me in the beginning. It's just I got stuck there.
Yeah. So if you had whatever opportunity, if you had endless money and just you could do it, what would be a business that you would start? Would you be like Elon Musk and build spaceships? Would you, or like crazy cars? What would you do? Like,
No, I think
some crazy rollerblades? Like,
I'm I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be in the real estate, construction, building, development, kind of that world. Because I still am passionate about it. I still love it. I love how many different people it takes to build a house, how many different industries even get touched, from engineers and architects to designers. You're dealing with the city, building departments.
lots of relationships.
Lots of relationships. Yeah, you're dealing with surveyors and, there's just so much. I mean, even real estate agents and just all of the different hands that go, play a part in building and real estate, the development side of it. So, I think I would just continue to do more of that and, create a place where there's a lot of opportunity for people to get engaged in that. I mean, housing is such a critical need, and we're always behind. So we're big. We're starting like a training program where we can kind of train within, recruit from within, and just really grow that system.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your human capital is one of the biggest assets.
Yeah, I
And
just
then-
love the people side
Yeah.
of it. I really do. I think that, the physical aspect of it is great. The rewarding aspect of like seeing something tangible, physical right there that, building standing where there wasn't one that never gets old.
Yeah.
But like all the different contributors to it, is really, that's my favorite part. And so I think any business that has to do with people, which one doesn't, I think I could get into.
Yeah.
Because what I've found at the end of the day, which is so funny, I started out as a technician, but now I'm a business owner. And what I've found is I love business.
Well, and you've actually encouraged me to explore using AI more. Like that's definitely a different development in business is leveraging AI.
It's moving so fast.
It really is.
It's going to be pretty interesting to see, how it helps and how it hurts too. I'm not sure. I think in our industry, it's like I don't see AI taking over swinging a hammer anytime soon, but
No.
it could make it easier and faster and more efficient to design and, get plans through.
Get through the permitting
Yeah,
process.
I mean that could be nothing but good.
Yeah, that would be great.
In my opinion, if that could expedite that. But yeah, I think the future's exciting because there's a lot that is it's changed. Our industry's changed so much, and it seems like it's it's one that wouldn't change that much because it's we're still it's bricks and mortar, concrete and wood. It's like all the building materials. It seems like this as old as time, thing to do. But the industry is changing. It's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah. Well, we've covered quite a bit. I know, business development is a huge topic, and we could really dive into some of the granular stuff here of like where to start, the key things. But this is kind of just an overview of what to consider.
Yeah, just kind of a story.
Yeah.
Like our story and how it evolves. I think like I like to say the my theme of my story is just like, if keep moving forward and just keep looking for the forks in the road, because they will be there.
Yeah.
You think you're on one path, and then you're working in public housing, and then you're doing hair to public housing to private sector to military. It's just all over the place.
I know.
To working for a construction company for my brother. It's like,
Just keep moving.
yeah, it's the
Yeah.
best.
Put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, if there's some failure or if you hit a roadblock, you're still learning. You still have a
Yeah.
reference point. It's not
Absolutely.
like you're done there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good talking with you.
Thank you.
If you have found this information valuable, please leave us some comments and about the topic we discussed today. And if you know somebody thinking about starting a small business, maybe you could share this video with them so that they can have some things to think about and consider. And until next time, keep building up.